students, I welcome you all in my today's lecture on the topic establishment of veterinary diagnostic laboratory under the training titled Decoding Startup and Entrepreneurial Ideas for Veterinary and Agriculture Graduates. I am Dr. Shivani Sahu, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Veterinary Parasitology in the College of Veterinary and Animal Sciences, SVPUAT. We'll start with the establishment of veterinary diagnostic laboratory. Now, some of the to-do points which one should know is what is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur can be anyone who starts a business. And the process of being an entrepreneur is entrepreneurship. It is a process of creating a value to a particular idea or a product or a invention or a process by bringing together the various packages of resources and exploiting an opportunity in a best possible way. The characters of a good entrepreneur, he must able to identify and understand the needs, wants, issues, problem and challenges associated in that particular area or a locality where he wants to establish a business venture. He should able to develop and establish a new innovative venture with a new innovative idea which is market oriented and must be driven by the demand of the public. And most importantly, he should have the enough courage to act and to get all the resources which is required to establish a new venture. He should be able to take calculated risk and look at the problem in a new ways, having a new vision and ultimately contributing to the development of the community. Now, we may categorize the startup development into four main stages. First is the concept development and its assessment. Here, one must lay down the foundation of a business venture and must establish a business idea and go for the evaluation of its feasibility. Then the second category is startup and planning. The entrepreneur should be able to validate the concept being laid and plan accordingly by analyzing his SWOT analysis, his strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The third one is to focus and consolidation. So, for a business venture to be successful in a long way, for the longevity of a business venture, an entrepreneur should focus and continuously monitors his or her responsibility for the maximum output. And lastly, scaling up and growth. The business venture which has already been planned to be established, it needs growth, it needs expansion, it needs market. So all these four stages will contribute in a successful startup development. Now, feasibility is an important tool in a successful business venture. It is a tool which provides an entrepreneur with the clear-cut picture of his business venture. It will uncover the strengths, weaknesses of his existing business or proposed venture. It acquires market research which is oriented by the demand of the target population, thorough preparation of financial projections, prototype development, and sourcing of raw materials. Like in our case, we are going for the development of a veterinary diagnostic laboratory in parasitology context. So here the raw material includes the equipments, the resource persons, the managemental team. So one must be very much clear about the sources to obtain the required raw materials and overall the estimation of cost for all the elements of the project. Now there are six main components of feasibility: market, technical, financial, organizational, risk and conclusion. So in organizational, we need legal and corporate structure of business, which should be very much important because it marks the foundation stone for any innovative business idea. It should depend upon professional background of a founder. So here our founders are the veterinarians who are having a skill to operate the laboratory efficiently. Then he should have an ability of taking risks and possible pitfalls. And lastly, in the conclusion, he is able to draw a total idea of the project, and it depends upon the success of the project. If this all the six components are fulfilled, then one can assume that the project or the business venture will go a long way. Now the sources of capital. So we have classified into three main components: venture capital companies. These venture capital companies, they provide funds to even the budding veterinarians or to expand the existing business, and they are known to support the most risk taking business as well. Then banks are well established institutions which lends the money to expand the existing business or to start a new business plan. These are business angels. Business angels, they are informal source of capital providing companies. They invest their own personal money and they are known to support the projects which are even prone at high risk. Now, certain entrepreneurial ideas for veterinary graduates, it is business incubation. This business incubation is in trend nowadays, and here innovation incubators, they provide space to test out new ideas, and this lead to their quick assessments with administrative services, equipment, technical advisors, and providing them free rental space. Now, the classical example of this business incubator is ICAR IVRI. Through its IVRI Pashu Vigyan incubator is implementing two programs, Navodaya and Smriddhi, under RKPY Raftar Agri Business Incubation Scheme. This Navodaya program, it transforms the ideas into a product or a service, and Smriddhi program, it offers the commercialization or scale up production of any idea or product or service. So these programs, they transform ideas into business, promote innovation, develop entrepreneurship, and also provide funding opportunities. Various innovative startup models are public-private partnership model, producer company model, cooperative model, e-Chapal model, joint ventures, vet clinics, vet diagnostic laboratories. One of the most successful example of joint venture is Vencor Broiler. This was a venture between Venkateshwara Hatcheries Limited and Cobb Ventures USA. It was established in the year 1980 to obtain pure line research and breeding in India, and it has led to the profit of more than 65% in the Indian market share. Now coming to the establishment of veterinary diagnostic laboratory. So as we all know that diagnostic laboratory has become an important part and adjunct to clinical laboratory. Now this was stated in New York Times article that 40 to 50% of animal species on earth are parasites. So I have quoted this text to emphasize on the importance of parasitism. Parasites, they are the major constraints to the production and productivity of domesticated animals as well as pet animals. So here we have often led to the complaints like people often ask like they are feeding complete balanced diet to their animals and in turn they are receiving a debilitated animal who is not responding to the ration. It is because it is the parasites which are inhabiting the animals and in turn drawing all the nutrients which are supplying to the animals. They are causing production losses as well as productivity losses and also mortality in the field like flock of poultry is completely wiped off due to coccidiosis. It may lead to mortality in case of lambs, kids, calves. So in order to diagnose the diseases pertaining to parasitism timely, accurately will lead to the proper treatment well on time. So some of the clinical samples which will help to identify the parasites or any of their stages like egg, cyst, oocyst. One is feces, then blood, urine, skin scrapings for arthropods, sputum, lymph node aspirates, nasal, vaginal and preputial discharges. Now, fecal examination is one of the basic examination which will help in diagnosis of majority of parasites which are inhabiting the gastrointestinal tract of the animals. So this examination requires only least of infrastructure, but it requires the expertise which are there with our veterinarians. So here just we need a small amount of fecal sample size of a mustard seed and we will make a smear on a slide and examine under the low magnification of microscope. Depending upon the expertise, we can know the presence of parasite as well as its any form, whether egg, cyst, oocyst. Then is the sedimentation and centrifugation method. These are the concentration method when the intensity of parasitism is low. Here we take small amount of feces, approximately 2 grams, triturated in motile and pestle and will stir it and will pass to the sieve to remove the coarse materials and will centrifuge it and this here will employ the mechanism of specific gravity. Egg they will float and will stick to the under surface of the cover slip. We'll examine the cover slip under the low magnification of microscope. In the sedimentation method, we can observe the eggs of nematodes and also of trematodes which are having high specific gravity like trematodes, fasciola, amphistomes. Next is the blood examination. So here we require a small amount of blood and we'll make a blood smear and we'll stain it with any of the available method like Giemsa or Leishman and let it dry and we can examine it under the microscope. So here also we require least of the infrastructure, only we need a good parasitologist to examine the parasite and its forms. Then is skin scraping examination for arthropods. In the field, we mainly come across with cases like mensch, scabies, demodex. So for this, we require the examination of skin scrapings. It is also not a very sophisticated method. Here we only need skin scrapings, 10% potassium hydroxide solution. We're going to boil the skin scraping in 10% KOH and will remove the debris and examine it under the low magnification of microscope. So these are the three methods which require least of infrastructure but expertise, which we already have in hand because this is being oriented for our veterinary graduates. But these conventional methods are not enough because most of the hemoprotozoans, the infection not appear as clinical infection always. It may be subclinical, latent or cryptic, that is hidden infection, which will not be found suitable in the blood smears. So for the early and specific diagnosis, what we need is the molecular diagnosis, which is more accurate, more specific, more sensitive. So molecular diagnosis of hemoprotozoan diseases, it offers identification of the parasite not only up to their genus level, but up to their species as well as strain level. Now, development of molecular diagnostic laboratory. So for this, you need to identify a suitable location where you are planning to establish your laboratory, its size, ventilation, safety, proximity to other facilities like hospitals, clinics, etc. Compliance with local regulations and safety standard. This is of utmost importance. You should have proper local regulations compliance associated with, and obviously equipments. Then you must determine the budget if you are planning to rent a space or to acquire a space or to adopt a space on lease. And also keeping in mind with the ongoing expenses such as rent, utilities, maintenance, and necessary upgrades such as water, electricity, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, water disposal systems in hand. Then another important feature associated with this is to collaborate with the expert. One must consult with experienced professional in the field to ensure that what all spaces they have chosen to establish a laboratory, is it really meeting the specific needs of a laboratory or not. Now, ideally, the molecular diagnostic laboratory should have four separate rooms. One intended for reagent preparation room, another for sample preparation room, then for PCR amplification room, and for PCR analysis room. And this we have to keep in mind that the workflow should be always unidirectional. Limit the backflow movement to the minimum. Now, some to-do points which an entrepreneur should keep in mind while establishing a molecular laboratory, that it should prevent any contamination, maintenance of air pressure, appropriate temperature and humidity. It should have ample means of ventilation, water quality, electric outlet, backup power system, etc. Backup is playing an important role because here we are dealing with the samples which are having certain shelf life. Okay, so always some backup should be maintained. If this four separate rooms is not possible, then minimally a laboratory should have two rooms, a pre-PCR or a clean room for sample and reagent preparation, and a post-PCR room for PCR amplification and its analysis. Now, coming to the estimated cost of the equipments required to establish a molecular laboratory pertaining to parasitological point of view. So, it is a list of equipment with the approximate cost. I like to mention here that this is only an approximate cost which can increase or which may decrease. It includes binocular microscopes, thermocycler, centrifuge machines, weighing balance, digital pH meter, gel documentation unit, gel documentation system, pipettes, water bath, glasswares, vortex mixture, analytical balance, incubator, lab refrigerator, autoclave, deep freezer. So on an account, it is costing around 16 lakh rupees, but subject to change. Consumables and reagent will account to approximately 1 lakh. Licensing and regulatory requirement may range from 50,000 to 1 lakh. Then staffing for managemental team and human resources. It includes the salaries. Then miscellaneous expenses include 1 lakh to 2 lakh. So on an average, the estimated cost for setting up a small diagnostic lab, it may range from 25 to 50 lakhs, which may again subject to change. Then coming to return on investment. The molecular tests like PCR, RT-PCR, LAMP assay. Okay, so the average charge of these tests in different cities, it ranges somewhere between 499 to 999 rupees. So on an average, if we are estimating one molecular test for 700 rupees, then charges for blood examination for hemoprotozoon specifically is 300 rupees. Charges for fecal examination is 100 rupees. Initially, put the cost to a lower level, then you can see how your business is going, its rate of growth. Accordingly, you can modify the rates of your test. Then process of intellectual property value chain. Like I have mentioned you, business incubators. So if during some process you get to invent some intellectual property, so how you going to maintain it? So first is innovation. You will have an idea and capture it. And you have to present the proof of concept that it is your own idea. It is not being copied. Then you have to go for intellectual property management by patent filing, by maintenance, and then you have to try for your technology transfer by giving certain value to a product or a service and going for its licensing. Now coming to the conclusion, in my opinion, agriculture and allied sector, it needs to be viewed as an enterprise rather than as a means of livelihood. Entrepreneurship development, it needs viable startup innovations. And the startup development is a key process in establishing agriculture entrepreneurship. Intellectual property, it plays a key role in maximizing the revenues for entrepreneurs and securing their future investment. And lastly, the incubators are most promising way to secure investment and to commercialize the invention. Thank you. Dear students, in this lecture we have learned about successful development of a veterinary diagnostic laboratory, and I assure you that you can go a long way to establish such startup in each district of the state.